3 assassinations that changed the destiny of America. But we're not telling the stories of Lincoln, Kennedy, or Martin Luther King. We're telling the stories of 3 assassinations in Europe, centuries ago and thousands of miles away. This is the butterfly effect of history. George Washington, Paul Revere, John Jay. Imagine, what would American history look like if these 3 men who forged the American spirit had never existed? It all begins with a traffic accident on a Paris street in 1610. That day, King Henry IV of France made a last-minute decision to visit his minister. The king, in high spirits, ordered the carriage curtains opened, a fatal decision. However, on a narrow street, a hay wagon and a cart full of wine barrels had an utterly ordinary traffic accident, bringing the king's carriage to a dead stop. This series of fatal coincidences gave a religious fanatic named Ravaillac, lurking in the crowd, the perfect opportunity. With 2 swift, deadly stabs, he took the king's life. The death of Henry IV left France's policy of religious tolerance without its strongest guardian. Catholic hardliners returned to power. Decades later, his grandson, Louis XIV, would finally revoke the Edict of Nantes, leading to the great exodus of nearly 500,000 French Protestants, known as the Huguenots. They were the wealthiest and most skilled artisans, merchants, and intellectuals in France. A few thousand of these elites eventually reached North America. These few thousand seeds would blossom on a new continent. And Washington, Revere, and Jay, these 3 American icons, all share a common identity. They are the descendants of those very French Huguenot refugees who crossed the ocean to escape persecution. If that hay wagon had moved just a few feet to the left, perhaps the destinies of countless people would have been rewritten. New York, the capital of the world. But did you know that its birth also originated from an assassination? In 1584, the founding father of the Dutch revolt against Spain, William the Silent, was assassinated by a Catholic fanatic. His death did not end the Dutch War of Independence. On the contrary, his famous final words, spoken in French, serve as a rallying cry, uniting the Dutch people as never before. My God, have pity on my soul. My God, have pity on this poor people. Lost this moderate leader who leaned towards compromise, an independent Netherlands walked the path of more radical and purely commercial expansion. A powerful Dutch republic, founded on commerce and sea power, was born. To compete with Spain for global trade, the Dutch founded the Dutch West India Company and sent explorers to North America. At the mouth of the Hudson River, they established a highly successful and multicultural trading port named New Amsterdam. Decades later, this port was captured by the English and renamed New York. It can be said that without the assassination of William the Silent, the Netherlands would very likely not have gone down this path of radical expansion, and the cornerstone of New York as the capital of the world might never have been laid. Without this next assassination, America's national anthem might never have been written. In 1812, a bullet found its mark in the British Houses of Parliament, striking Prime Minister Spencer Perceval. He remains the only Prime Minister in British history ever to be assassinated. His death occurred at the most critical moment imaginable, on the eve of the War of 1812 with the United States. At the time, his government was preparing to repeal the controversial maritime trade restrictions that had infuriated the Americans. His assassination threw the British government into chaos. By the time a new government was formed and finally repealed the orders, it was too late. The United States Congress had already declared war just days earlier. This avoidable war was a crucial rite of passage for America. It finally ended the nation's lingering sense of being a junior former colony and forged a truly independent and unified American spirit. A bullet fired in London ultimately became the spiritual cornerstone of a rising new nation. An assassination, like a bloody haze, may temporarily obscure the light of truth, but history has proven that a great civilization is always reborn in a baptism of blood and fire. This, perhaps, is the deepest echo that history has left for us.